Getting warmed up.
Hey everybody, this is Petey from the Spinner Rack. We also have Cal. Say hi, Cal.
Ready to rock, baby.
And we also have our guest, Professor
Professor
CA.
CA. Yeah,
Say what's
yeah.
up.
Glad to be here. Yo,
All
what's up,
right,
y'all? Glad to be here.
we're here. Even though I tried to bring the energy, now we have a sad thing to bring up that Earl Simmons, DMX, Darkman X, has passed. He was in a coma for, I guess it was over a week. Everyone was praying and sending good vibes for him, but ultimately, during his time, he didn't make it. I believe he passed yesterday, and it's also, was it Prince Philip passed, but the DMX thing kind of pushed him down and pushed Philip in the trending. So we lost two people, but right now we're talking about DMX. Um, I guess we'll go to Cal. What do you have to say about DMX? Any words of anything you want to say about him?
Well, I know he had. I mean, I'm introduced to DMX, and to be honest, I thought he was like the next Tupac at the time. A lot of good, a lot of good material, and then just seems to have just a roller coaster ride afterwards in terms of his, in terms of his addiction and just trying to keep himself clean. So, I mean, I don't know. I find the whole thing very sad. I mean, I find 50 to still be very young at the end of the day with stuff that you have for that you stuff that you can look forward to in your life, even at that time. Uh, I don't know. It's a very it's a very sad end, to a story for someone who I thought had a lot of talent and still had a lot of potential at the end of the day. So I'll just say rest in peace.
And Professor, what do you?
Yeah, I agree with Cal. It's very sad. It's very sad. And you can go on a lot of tangents of what's sad about it. Yeah, condolences to his family and his 15 kids. Um, yeah, yeah, man. I was a fan. I was definitely a fan of DMX. I don't think I ever had an album of his that I bought, and that's when like CDs just came out. It was like $20. So I don't know if I ever bought um, any one of his albums, but I definitely had singles, and I definitely listened to his music, and his impact was definitely felt. I think one sad part about it for me was just like how it was a little bit mishandled by social media in terms of the reporting. They did some stuff that just wasn't fair, and it was just like really sad, but also maybe a little bit frustrating to kind of see how they would put stuff out. Like, oh, like he's in the hospital, yo, prayers up. Oh, well now he's in the ICU. And it was kind of really unfair because from what I know of what happened, at a certain point he was brain deaded on a respirator. So it's like once he's on that, and they're not kind of like breaking, they didn't really break that down in a way that people could really process it. It was just like prayers up, y'all. Let's pray for a miracle. Because really, literally, at that point in time, that's where it was heading in a certain way, and I think they felt that I felt that this kind of like lingered with that and didn't really like put information out in a way that people could process what was or wasn't going to happen in a fair way. So yeah, um, and really, he had he will be remembered for great music and a really flamboyant personality. But it's just like yeah, everything. He had a very sad background and a struggle with mental health as an addiction, as two overlapping things, and to the point that hip hop or the music industry added or supported or didn't help to intervene in that. That's all very sad too.
And for me, so at that point, I was definitely listening to the radio all the time, Hot 97. And, there was the interesting part of first experiencing him was that on the radio and on videos is that you had Tupac and Biggie pass this call for the music to change. You hear Jay-Z kind of going to the sunshine in between street and sort of puffy stuff, and then you had this guy come out of nowhere going completely street with his thing, his rhymes completely survival. Like he dumbed it down to just like even every rhyme was gonna be about basically eating, surviving, and taking from someone else. So it was just like, and then you hear he has this. Oh no, I did before that. I forget what his name was before that, but he had a song called "Born Loser," which I liked. And I was like, it wasn't in the same style as the current stuff, but it was an interesting thing of a real sort of story about how tough his life was. Not in a jokey sort of thing and not heavily street, but just saying, oh, this is my hardship type of thing. But it was kind of funny without being like humorous, like going through that. So I was like, oh, what happened to this guy? Like, that's the same guy as that. I was like, I wanted to hear more, but you know how hip hop, sometimes they have one hit and they're gone. It wasn't even a big hit. It's one of those things that I like, but then it's like, oh, this guy, and this guy is like all voice. And then at the same time, he was an incredible performer. Not just when you see the videos, you're like, okay, let's see if it's translated. Then I think I was in Bryant Park, and he didn't perform, but he was on stage and he saw Roy Jones and gave him a pound, and he goes to the mic for just 2 seconds, goes, and it was just a whole Bryant Park. You could feel it. It's like, oh, I guess if I was at a show where he was doing this, I would probably lose it too. So, and you hear his history that he battled Jay-Z when he was younger and that sort of thing. And that sort of like people picking who won. Of course, he said he won. He did say he learned how, needing to control himself while he's doing the battles. You can see, and then he also talked about battling, who's that guy? K Solo in jail. Like they were in jail at the same time. And this is what I was finding hard to believe, because he said that he came up with Spellbound and the whole, spelling thing that K Solo used. And I was like, there's no chance. Look at the way DMX rhymes and that. But then I saw a video with him, and he had these, he's all glammed out. He got shades on. He's like, yo, you hear my Spellbound? It's just like way better than his. This is like this, the SB, the LO. He was like doing the spelling, and Ron was like, he can actually do it. I can't see what the style he was using, but I was like, oh, he's much layered, but the way he's doing it now is kind of just getting to that audience of survival. Like, I think I always joke that when I used to rhyme, I was not that style of rhyme, but it was that feeling like I'm alone. I don't got anyone else. And that's what his thing was, is that all my friends, went against me, bought me a dog. Ever since he got my back, I got his. That sort of thing was just basically, I'm surviving, and all I got these dogs. These cats are against me, and I got these dogs. So, and it's also what you guys said, the being that sort of volatile, having the drug thing, and just pushing life to the fullest. Like, obviously he's funny. You can see how funny he is in those versus battles that he did with who's that guy with Snoop. So it's like, obviously he got a lot of friends and all that, but then you also have a lot of enablers. It's like saying, the hard part is you see those shows where he's on there and he's on those wedding things, and it's like he's on one of those counseling wedding things with celebrities, and he was in there with his ex-wife, and they were talking things out.
Oh,
you see that?
Fix My Life with Ayanla?
That's another. That wasn't that, but he was on that one. Was another sign too of how, that he wasn't ready to deal with his issues, because he just wanted to say, I got a lot of kids, but I love all of them. I do drugs, but it's just something I do, and it's a part of me. He was trying to rationalize it to her, and she kind of said, here's a picture of you in jail. And you could see, you're like, this is turning. This isn't what I thought. I can't just sell her sorry to say, the BS. And he like, I'm out. But then the next day they had his son. So his eldest son, Xavier, and he was like, his grandmother said, well, you haven't seen him in a while. You have to do this. You agreed. So it seemed like he has handlers, like people that say yes to him all the time, but they were like, no, your son's gonna be here. You gotta be here. And we get into that one. That's tough, because the son talks to him, and the son has some things to say to him about how things were and things that he saw. But the son, all you could see in his face, all of it left because he saw his father. So he was just, I'm going to take this moment in the moment as is. And Ayanla reaches over to him and like, say what you need to say. And she was like, there were some things that you said that I have kind of issue with. And I think he didn't bring up that his fault, the DMX said some tough things about his music that he was making. And he kind of like dissed him a little. But then he also, son really, that wasn't what the son had struggled with. The son had struggled with him talking to other girls while he was still married to his mother. And he said, you know, I just had, he didn't say, you know, I had sex with them, you know, I love you. It's just like, you know, as a kid, it's just like, like that doesn't
I
make
don't know any of this, right?
So it went left. But I liken it to the other thing when he was on the couples thing was more like what Charlie Murphy said when he joined Eddie Murphy as a security. Like when he got out of out of jail and then he went to the what's the name? He still had a jail mentality. So when he looked and he came around, he would size people up, he'd befriend people to see what he could get out of people. And he said Charlie Murphy talks about how he had to lose that over time. So you get to see the Charlie Murphy where you have here, where he talks about stuff, he doesn't set people up. With DMX, you see in that wedding show, he kind of would play sides. He's like he would be listening, he'd befriend people, and then he would like be in these arguments, and it's just like, yo, you got your own thing. But he had that sort of thing where you'd be like, oh, let's go out and so we can get out and get some drinks, which is not going to help anything. But then you also see how he you know, he's this aggressive guy, but then when he, you know, with women, he has this breakdown and he cries and goes to scripture. So there's so many things going on in this person, but definitely a force for the music industry, doing things, 2 albums in 1 year that went platinum, that sort of thing, classics that we'll be hearing forever. They just said that Jay-Z and Beyonce bought his catalog, his masters, for 10 million and giving it to his all of his kids. But I think that's a little light. I think with his catalog, 10 million for those masters, I think they might have made a deal. But I mean, if anything they can get the family money, that would be great. So just sad to hear, you know, as you guys said, definitely RIP to him and that energy. And we lost a performer because hip hop has lost the art of performance, the rock in the house. Everyone's got their phone up now where you couldn't do that anymore. You had to either party, you want to dance, or you scream and fall out. And at DMX, you'd have to get up and do that. And you couldn't follow him. That's the thing where you couldn't follow that guy. So RIP to him. Anything else you guys want to say?
A lot of Earls are ratchet. We'll have a secret ratchet side. Shout out to Earl Simmons.
Yep. RIP. You will never be forgotten. Spinner Rack out.